Welcome back to Storytime with the Legends. We have an incredible guest. I'm not sure I've ever met another human being with the same amount of energy, love, joy. It is mind-numbing. This guy is nonstop. He contradicted something I said a little earlier because I was a shy kid. He said, I was not a shy kid, and imagine that. Anyway, I just want to introduce Wayne Gono, and I can't wait to hear his story today.
And their stories is a perfect segue into my stories, because really, when I first thought about it, I thought, this really doesn't have that much to do with business, but it really has everything to do with business. It really, really does. It's really interesting because storytelling is an ancient art. I mean, this has been going on for centuries. It's been going on forever. When there was man on earth, there were stories to be told. And I always like thinking back to biblical times. Then they called it parables. Jesus always taught in parables. They were stories. That's all they were. And he told these stories to challenge, to impact, to make a difference in people's lives. And I say, to give people something to think about. And that's all I want any of my stories to do. If you know me, you know I love hearing stories. I love hearing your stories. And I love telling stories. Doesn't mean I'm good at it, but it's a passion for me to hear stories. So it's all right. Well, here's where I'm going. All right. Everybody got Jay's book? Okay. Chapter 9, if you remember, it's called "Ask and You Shall Receive." That's my story. Now I'm going to share a once in a lifetime experience that Patsy and I had. We've only had 2 once in a lifetime experiences in our lifetime. Now, I define these as it is an experience that cannot be duplicated. No matter how much money I've got, there's no way in the world this is going to ever happen to me again. We've only had 2. I hear people say, well, I've had a once in a lifetime. Well, can you go back and do it again? Oh, yeah, I could go on another cruise. Then that's not once in a lifetime. You could go back and do that again if you want to. This one ain't happening again ever. Not in my lifetime. Really, I don't know of anybody's lifetime it will. Patsy and I were in the United Kingdom last year. It was the first week of May of 2020. This is Augusta Harris. She was our Blue Badge tour guide for the duration of our time there. We had Augusta and our driver, Stephen. Blue Badge tour guides in the UK, that is a 2-year degree. They have to be certified to be able to do this. If you ever go to the UK, don't do anything without a Blue Badge tour guide. And if you can do it privately, it's even better. But they know everything about everything in the United Kingdom or any country that Blue Badges choose to serve in. So she was unbelievable, remarkable at just about everything. History, I was so impressed with gosh, I was 8,
Hey, Wayne, is Blue Badge a sponsor for this?
No, but they should be. I mean,
they should be. I'll give them a call tomorrow.
Give them a call. So this is Augusta Harris. She met us every morning down. So we were right across from Hyde Park I forget the name of the hotel, but she met us every morning. She met us down there. She comes in that morning. She says, "Well, I had a really good plan for y'all today, but it fell through. But I've got something I think you're going to enjoy better than that one." I said, "Oh, that sounds good to me, Augusta," because I trust her, didn't care. Everything she'd given us up till then was spectacular. So we're heading out to the car, and she's describing to me, she says, "You know what? The Royal Guard has not been together for 2 years because of the pandemic. They have not rehearsed together. They have not marched together. They have not drilled together. They have not trained together. They've not bunked together. They haven't been together until just this week. Today, they are having a dress rehearsal for the Queen's Jubilee, which is 30 days from when we were there." She said, "We're going backstage to their rehearsal." So I'm like, backstage? I'm thinking we're going into an arena and we're going to sit up in the balcony, sit up in the seats and watch these guys. And I said, "Did you team us up with a tour guide?" She says, "No, it's just the 3 of us and the curator of the Royal Guard Museum." So we head here. We're right behind Buckingham Palace. Patsy and I are on the ground with 450 Royal Guardsmen. We were all over the place with them. If you've seen people march, these guys were over the top cool. And I didn't bring videos because it would really bore you. But I'm right in the middle of all these guys. They're marching around me, and they didn't care. They just absolutely didn't care that I was there. So this guy, he gave us, the curator of the museum, Andrew Wallace, who you'll meet in a minute, he gave us probably close to 2 hours. That is the commandant, is what I call him, of the Royal Guard Museum, of the Royal Guards. Andrew is pulling guys out of rank while they're marching to come meet these 2 people from Texas, and every one of them acted like we were royalty. They treated us like we were, I'm like, wow. You don't think I was overwhelmed at this opportunity to do this. So I don't know what this guy's name was, but the cool thing about like their uniforms, that part of the history, everything on that uniform is significant. It is there for a reason, and everything tells a story. It's not just there for looks. And if you'll notice, every uniform is different depending on the rank. See the stripes on that guy's the pants? Those are wider, and depending on their rank and what they've done in the Royal Guard. And you have to serve for 3 years in the Royal Guard if you're going to be in the military there. So there's that dude. There, we met the guy with the English, the Wolfhound. That's the only one we saw during the parade because he had the dog. We met him because he's with the dog. We know who he is. The rest of them we have no idea. Absolutely no idea who they all are. So we meet them now. They're lining up to do the parade route. Now back here, see that fence? We're on the inside. The outside is full of tourists. And us 3 are on the inside. And I've got to be thinking, what are these people thinking that there's these 2 guys, who are they? I mean, I'm dressed like a tourist. Why are we on the outside and these 2 people are on the inside and who's the guy in the suit? I mean, I would be thinking that if I'm on the outside and I'm a ways from them and I'm in the middle walking around them. So we watch them march all the way. Now there's 4 regiments of the Royal Guard, so 450 of them totally, from the band to the drill guys to the kilts with the bagpipes. So I was overwhelmed for lots of reasons being in the middle of this. We get through. That's Andrew Wallace, the curator of the museum. We get through, and he says, "You know what? This museum has not been open in 2 years. It would honor me if you would let me take you through that." This was a 10,000 square foot museum that the curator marched us through. I'm not a museum guy. That day, I was a museum guy. He took us through the history, the battles. He took us through so much stuff. He was telling stories and I'm weeping because of his love for his country, which we all should have, the love for the monarch, the love for the royal family. He was so emotional about that. He just drew me in with his stories of everything. He's done this 25 years. He helped put this together, and he served in the Royal Guard too. That's how he got access for us to be where we were. Only 3 of us. There's again, the museum went 10,000 square feet. I got to try on a uniform. He said, "Wayne." He said, "Would you?"
I knew there was going to be an ass.
No, this wasn't an ass. This was not an ass. He asked me if I would like to try on a uniform and let me teach you how to salute the proper way, unlike you Americans do. So this is like this, not like this. So he explained why I would probably butcher the story. Okay, I will wrap up with this. We got through walking out to the car. We got out there and I gave him a hug and just grabbed him on the shoulders, looked him square in the eye to thank him, and just said, this was one of these once in a lifetime experiences that we will never, ever, ever forget. And I said, "Andrew, you've done this 25 years. Typically you might do tours, but not like this." I said, "Have you ever, in your 25 years of history, done anything like this for another couple?" And his great English accent, which I can't do, he says, "Wayne, in 25 years, I can't think that I've ever done this before." And I said, "Okay, I've got to know why." He thought for a minute. He says, "You know what? Nobody's ever asked." Nobody's ever asked. That I immediately went back to this book and I said, "You're telling me that Augusta Harris contacted you as a blue badge tour guide, knew this was going on, knew there'd be nobody there, and all she did is ask you and you said yes." "Yeah."
What the
That's
heck?
exactly why. So, life lesson for me, well, you heard 2 or 3 right here, things he got because he asked for them. When I was a sales guy, I was a great presenter. But what I sucked at? Asking for the order. No telling how many jobs I missed because I left through, boy, it's a killer presentation. Well, Wayne, you never asked
Hey,
for
Wayne,
the order.
who's the author of that book again?
This book, J. Rogers.
You know what? He would have asked to fly the plane, and they would have let him.
Oh, well, I wouldn't have asked to fly a plane because I would have killed a bunch of people.
Oh, here we go. This is how the fire pit works.
Let me tell you, Ron Sturgeon tied me up and Betty with a young lady that runs an entrepreneurial program for high school students. And she is at Louisville. Doesn't know a thing about small business or entrepreneurship, but wants to learn, wants to do a good job. And so we kind of take her under our wing. Betty speaks to her class, I speak to her class. She comes to the Biz Owners Women's Group, John L's efforts, and is going strong, but she reads my book and she learns what Wayne is talking about. Is the reason I wanted to mention this. I've tried for 2 years to get Mark Cuban to speak to biz owners. She read my book. First she called Gino Wickman. He sent her a free book for every class member. And then she got a hold of Mark Cuban, and although he wanted to come to speak to 200 of us at Biz Owners, he went and spoke to 18 in her class. She is Teacher of the Year at Louisville High School.
Okay, I'll ask you one question. What's the answer going to be if you don't if you just don't ask the question?
No.
It's always no. Always no. If you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. I will ask friends for favors. My wife's always saying, "Oh, they're too busy. They've got 12 grandkids. There's no way in the world I just ask them." If they don't have the bandwidth, they're your friend. They will tell you no. Asking for favors, I quit not asking. Why? Tell me no, and I'll give them that out. I'll say, you know, if you can't do this, just let me know. I'm fine. But I will today, because of this and lessons, I will always ask. Why not? Because I have these books. I carry them in my trunk, and it's got pictures of me, and it says "Just Ask" on the inside.
Wayne, one serious ask kicker.